The world woke up today to one of the most unexpected and shocking alliances in recent memory, what many are calling the Cotton Rebellion. Burkina Faso and Bangladesh, two countries thousands of miles apart and historically unaligned, have joined forces in a bold move that could completely reshape the global textile and cotton industries and perhaps even the wider balance of trade. So what happened? And why is everyone saying this changes the global game? Let me walk you through the incredible story unfolding before our eyes. It all started quietly months ago. Burkina Faso, one of Africa's largest producers of raw cotton, had been voicing its frustration for years about what it called unfair exploitation by Western and Asian buyers. Despite producing high-quality cotton, Burkina farmers saw little profit, squeezed by low prices and powerful global textile corporations. On the other side of the world, Bangladesh, the world's second-largest garment exporter after China, faced its own crisis: skyrocketing cotton prices, supply disruptions, and increasing pressure from buyers demanding fast fashion at lower and lower costs. Two very different struggles, but one common enemy: an exploitative global supply chain that kept the producers of raw cotton and the manufacturers of garments underpaid and dependent. Then came the secret meetings. Diplomats and trade ministers from Ouagadougou and Dhaka reportedly began quiet negotiations in late 2024. They explored a revolutionary idea. What if they bypassed the usual intermediaries? What if Burkina Faso's cotton could go directly to Bangladeshi mills at a fair price, creating a partnership that benefited both nations while cutting out the powerful middlemen in Europe, China, and the U.S.? Last week, the two governments made it official. At a dramatic press conference in Accra, Ghana, chosen as neutral ground, Burkina Faso's transitional leader Ibrahim Traore and Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina stood side by side and announced the deal. Here's what we know about the agreement so far. Burkina Faso has committed to selling a guaranteed 70% of its annual cotton harvest directly to Bangladesh for the next 5 years. In return, Bangladesh will pay a premium price, about 15% higher than what international commodity traders currently offer, ensuring better incomes for Burkina farmers. Additionally, Bangladesh has pledged to invest in modern ginning and storage facilities in Burkina Faso to improve cotton quality even further. But that's not all. The two countries are also establishing a joint development fund aimed at promoting sustainable farming and environmentally friendly textile production. This is a clear message that their rebellion isn't just about money, it's also about ethics and fairness. The reaction from the rest of the world: nothing short of shock. Major European and American buyers expressed concern about what they called market distortions. Chinese importers, who have dominated Africa's cotton trade in recent years, reportedly held emergency meetings to assess the impact. Meanwhile, farmers in Burkina Faso celebrated in the streets, waving flags and chanting that finally they would no longer be slaves of the global system. For Bangladesh, the benefits are equally profound. The country has been desperately searching for a stable, reliable, and affordable source of cotton. India, once its main supplier, has restricted exports to protect its own textile sector. The U.S., Brazil, and Australia remain expensive, and sourcing from West Africa through international traders added layers of cost and unpredictability. By locking in this deal, Bangladesh now has a direct supply line, which means its garment factories can produce more competitively while maintaining ethical sourcing standards. Some experts are even calling this a geopolitical masterstroke. By banding together, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have demonstrated how two developing nations can challenge the status quo and take control of their destinies. It's also a powerful example of South-South cooperation, developing countries working directly with each other, rather than through wealthy intermediaries. Asterisk, of course, challenges remain. Transporting cotton from landlocked Burkina Faso to Bangladeshi ports will require improved logistics, better rail links, and secure shipping routes. There are also fears of retaliation by powerful players in the cotton trade, who may try to undercut the deal or pressure international buyers not to accept Bangladeshi garments made with African cotton. Asterisk. But for now, both nations are defiant and hopeful. As Ibrahim Traore put it during the announcement, asterisk, for too long we have picked the cotton while others wore the shirts. Today, we change the game. Today, we wear our dignity. And Sheikh Hasina echoed, this is not just a trade deal. This is justice. This is the future. Asterisk across social media, the hashtag Cotton Rebellion has been trending globally, with thousands praising the move as a wake-up call to an unjust global economic order. Asterisk. In the coming weeks and months, the world will watch closely to see how this new alliance unfolds and whether it inspires similar rebellions in other sectors and other nations. One thing is certain. Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have sent a loud and clear message that they will no longer be silent players in someone else's game. They've just changed the rules. And that's why the story is too shocking and too important to ignore. Asterisk, the world economy is being shaken yet again, this time by an unexpected alliance between two of the most overlooked nations in global energy, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh. This is being called the Green Energy Pact, and it might just ignite a new era of renewable energy cooperation in the developing world. Asterisk, so, what's the story? Asterisk, it began with a question posed by Burkina Faso's transitional leader Ibrahim Traore at a UN side meeting earlier this year. Asterisk, if Africa and Asia bear the brunt of climate change, why should we continue depending on polluting technologies and expensive fossil fuels from others? Asterisk, that question resonated deeply with Bangladesh's delegation, who face their own daily struggle against rising sea levels, cyclones, and power shortages. For decades, both Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have relied on imported oil and coal to meet their energy needs, despite having enormous potential for solar, wind, and hydropower. Asterisk, fast forward a few months, and both nations have signed what they call the Green Energy Pact. Asterisk, the details are revolutionary. Burkina Faso has vast stretches of sun-drenched land perfect for solar farms, but lacks advanced manufacturing and storage technologies. Bangladesh, meanwhile, has an emerging tech sector capable of producing affordable solar panels and storage batteries, but lacks the raw space and conditions to deploy them at scale. So here's what they're doing. Burkina Faso will provide 15,000 hectares of land across 3 regions for the construction of solar megaplants. Bangladesh will supply the panels, batteries, and technical expertise to build and maintain the plants. The electricity generated will serve Burkina Faso's domestic needs, cutting its dependence on expensive fossil fuel imports by an estimated 40% within 5 years, while surplus energy will be exported to neighboring African nations through newly built regional grids. Asterisk, in return, Bangladesh will secure a steady supply of renewable electricity credits and gain a foothold in Africa's green technology market, opening the door for Bangladeshi green tech companies to expand globally. Asterisk, but the pact doesn't stop at solar. Both countries are also collaborating on wind power research, climate-resilient agricultural technology, and training programs for engineers and technicians. Asterisk, in announcing the agreement in Dhaka, Sheikh Hasina said, asterisk, "We are proving today that you don't have to be rich to lead. You just need the vision to act." Ibrahim Traore echoed her words, stating, "The sun shines on all of us. Why should its power benefit only the wealthy? Together, we bring power to the people." Asterisk the international reaction has been swift. Environmental groups and climate activists hailed the deal as a model for other developing nations to follow. A direct challenge to fossil fuel interests and proof that climate justice can also mean economic opportunity. Asterisk predictably, however, oil exporters and traditional energy companies criticized the pact, calling it economically unrealistic and warning of unforeseen consequences. But neither Burkina Faso nor Bangladesh seem fazed. Social media exploded with pride and hope under the hashtag #GreenPact, as young people across Africa and Asia voiced their support. Asterisk, some experts say this alliance could do for renewable energy what OPEC did for oil decades ago, create a bloc of smaller nations with real influence over global energy trends. Already, reports suggest that other nations, including Nepal, Niger, and even parts of Latin America, have reached out to join this emerging coalition. Asterisk, of course, the road ahead will not be easy. Financing the massive infrastructure build-out will require billions in loans and grants, and both nations face domestic challenges, from political instability to natural disasters. But both governments have already begun talks with friendly investors, development banks, and even private philanthropists interested in supporting what many see as a historic step toward energy independence. Asterisk, this partnership is more than just about power plants and trade. It's a bold statement to the world that the Global South is no longer content to be at the mercy of global markets, foreign aid, and climate injustice. In the words of one Burkina engineer working on the project, "For too long, the West has sold us darkness at the price of light. Now we create our own light and sell it on our terms." Asterisk, with these words and the signing of this pact, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have again demonstrated that when nations cooperate on the basis of mutual respect and shared vision, the impossible becomes possible. Asterisk, and so begins the next chapter of this remarkable story, the rise of a green alliance that could change not just their own futures, but the future of our planet. Asterisk, stay tuned. This is just the beginning. Asterisk, in yet another unexpected twist in the growing partnership between Burkina Faso and Bangladesh, the two nations have stunned the world by announcing what is now being called the food sovereignty revolution. Asterisk, yes. After cotton and energy, now it's about food. And this time, they are challenging nothing less than the global agricultural system itself. Asterisk, for decades, countries like Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have faced two sides of the same coin: hunger and dependence. Burkina Faso, despite having fertile lands, has struggled with erratic rainfall and poor infrastructure, forcing it to import much of its staple foods. Bangladesh, on the other hand, despite being an agricultural powerhouse, has been locked into producing rice and seafood for export while depending on imports for wheat, pulses, and oilseeds. Asterisk, both nations remained at the mercy of global food markets, with prices rising and falling based on events thousands of miles away, conflicts, pandemics, climate disasters. Asterisk, but earlier this year, something began to change. Asterisk, Bangladeshi agricultural scientists developed a new generation of drought-resistant and flood-tolerant crop varieties, including wheat, maize, and pulses, crops that could thrive in challenging climates. Meanwhile, Burkina farmers began experimenting with sustainable irrigation and no-till farming to improve yields and conserve water. Asterisk, and then, the two governments connected the dots. Why not combine Bangladesh's advanced seeds and agricultural Research with Burkina Faso's vast arable land and farming workforce? That idea grew into a groundbreaking initiative announced just this week called Seeds of Freedom. Under the initiative, Bangladesh will supply millions of tons of hybrid seeds and train thousands of Burkina farmers in modern cultivation techniques. In exchange, Burkina Faso will reserve a significant portion of its harvests of wheat, maize, and oilseeds to be exported to Bangladesh at stable, fair prices, breaking their dependence on volatile global markets. This pact is expected to benefit both countries in profound ways. Burkina Faso's farmers will increase their yields and incomes while ensuring their own people have more affordable food. Bangladesh will secure reliable supplies of wheat, maize, and oilseeds, insulating itself from global shortages and price shocks. But the most revolutionary part of this deal is the vision that goes beyond bilateral trade. Together, the two nations are establishing a South-South food security fund, aimed at helping other vulnerable nations in Africa and Asia adopt similar strategies, free from the control of Western-dominated food corporations and grain cartels. At the announcement ceremony in Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traore declared, "No child in Burkina Faso, no child in Bangladesh, and no child anywhere in the global South should go to bed hungry because of someone else's greed. Today, we plant the seeds of our freedom." And Sheikh Hasina added, "Food is not just a commodity. It is life. It is dignity. Together, we take back control of our plates, our fields, and our future." The reaction worldwide? Predictably intense. Global. Grain traders issued statements warning of market disruptions. Western analysts called the pact unrealistic and risky. But in the streets of Ouagadougou and Dhaka, farmers danced, chanted, and wept tears of joy. On social media, the hashtag Seeds of Freedom trended worldwide within hours, a symbol of resistance and hope for billions who feel trapped in an unfair system. One Bangladeshi farmer put it perfectly: "We have always fed the world while going hungry ourselves. Today, that ends." This initiative could be a turning point, not only for Burkina Faso and Bangladesh, but for how the world thinks about food security, fairness, and sovereignty. Experts believe this model, direct cooperation, bypassing exploitative middlemen, sharing technology and resources, could be replicated elsewhere, creating a network of food-secure nations that support one another rather than compete. Of course, like all revolutions, this one will face resistance, from multinational corporations that profit from hunger, from governments that fear a challenge to the status quo. But for now, the people of Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have made their choice to stand tall, sow their own future, and harvest dignity. In the words of a young Burkina woman at the ceremony, "We have the land, they have the seeds. Together, we feed the world and ourselves." The world is watching. And once again, these two nations have proved they are not just changing the game, they are rewriting the rules entirely. And this, too, is only the beginning. Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have just shocked the world once again, this time by stepping into a realm no one expected: technology and digital sovereignty. They're calling it the digital awakening. And it marks yet another chapter in how two unlikely partners are redefining the global order. For years, both countries faced the same digital dilemma. Despite having millions of talented, young, tech-savvy citizens, they were heavily dependent on foreign-made software, foreign-controlled data centers, and foreign-owned social platforms. This left them vulnerable to surveillance, manipulation, and profit extraction by global tech giants. Asterisk, as Ibrahim Traore bluntly put it at a regional summit last year. Asterisk, why should our voices, our ideas, our data, our very identities be owned and sold by others? Asterisk, Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina had raised similar concerns at home, warning about how the country's youth were being turned into digital consumers rather than creators, and how critical national data was being stored on servers thousands of miles away. Asterisk, out of these frustrations was born Project Ubuntu, asterisk, launched jointly by both governments. Project Ubuntu is an ambitious plan to achieve digital sovereignty and technological self-reliance within a decade. Asterisk, here's what they've already unveiled. A shared digital cloud. Bangladesh's fast-growing IT sector will help develop and operate a secure, sovereign cloud infrastructure hosted across data centers in both countries. This will allow government institutions, businesses, and even private citizens to store data securely, beyond the reach of foreign surveillance and corporate exploitation. Asterisk. Open source revolution. Asterisk. Both governments are moving to adopt and promote open source software for public administration, schools, and small businesses, cutting their dependence on expensive proprietary systems from Western companies. Teams of Bangladeshi programmers are already training Burkina developers in coding, cybersecurity, and app development. A new social platform, perhaps the most surprising announcement, the launch of a joint social media platform, provisionally named Unity, designed to prioritize privacy, local culture, and fair monetization for creators. The platform is slated to launch in beta next year, targeting over 150 million potential users across both nations and beyond. Asterisk. Digital skills exchange. Asterisk. Thousands of young people from Burkina Faso are being sent to Dhaka to study software engineering, AI, and robotics, while Bangladeshi professionals are traveling to Ouagadougou to help build digital infrastructure, fiber networks, and training centers. Asterisk. At the launch event in Dhaka, Sheikh Hasina said, asterisk, the world told us to become digital, but they never told us to become digital owners. Today, we take control of our own future. Asterisk. And Ibrahim Traore, speaking virtually to a cheering audience, added, asterisk, our ancestors fought for our land. Now we fight for our data. Asterisk. The global tech community has been caught off guard. Analysts dismissed the project at first, saying the countries lacked the capital and expertise to compete with Silicon Valley or Shenzhen. But early demonstrations of homegrown apps and secure communications systems have impressed even skeptics. Asterisk. And more nations are watching closely. Already, reports suggest that Pakistan, Nepal, and several West African states have expressed interest in joining Project Ubuntu, potentially creating a powerful coalition of countries advocating for a more just and equitable digital world. Asterisk. Predictably, there's pushback. Western tech corporations are lobbying hard, warning that a fragmented internet would hurt innovation. But young people in both Burkina Faso and Bangladesh seem undeterred, with the hashtag Digital Awakening trending globally within hours of the announcement. Asterisk. In one viral video, a Bangladeshi coder in his 20s summed it up beautifully. Asterisk. They gave us the devices, but now we write the code. And a young Burkina woman holding her smartphone added, for once my data belongs to me. For once, my future is mine. Asterisk. This latest move by Burkina Faso and Bangladesh isn't just about technology. It's about dignity. It's about power. It's about rewriting the rules of a digital world that has long excluded or exploited the very people who use it the most. Asterisk. And as the sun sets on yet another day of surprises from these two determined nations, One thing is clear: their partnership is no longer just a rebellion. It's becoming a revolution. The digital awakening has begun. Once again, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have stunned the international community, this time with what's being called the Cultural Renaissance Pact. After shaking up the worlds of trade, energy, food, and technology, the two nations are now turning their attention to something equally vital but often overlooked: culture, identity, and the global narrative. For decades, the voices, stories, and heritage of Burkina Faso and Bangladesh, like so many in the global south, have been marginalized in favor of Western narratives. Their music, films, art, and literature often remained invisible on the global stage, reduced to stereotypes or forgotten entirely. But now, these two countries are joining forces to rewrite their place in the world's cultural conversation. Idea was sparked last year when Bangladeshi filmmakers attended the FESPACO Film Festival in Ouagadougou, Africa's largest and most prestigious film festival. Sitting side by side in the dusty packed cinema halls, they realized just how much their nations shared: histories of colonization and resistance, rich traditions of storytelling, and a hunger to be seen and heard on their own terms. What began as a casual exchange soon evolved into the Cultural Renaissance Pact, a formal agreement signed earlier this week in Dhaka to promote, fund, and export the creative industries of both nations together. Here's what the pact includes. A joint film fund. Burkina Faso and Bangladesh are establishing a $50 million joint film and media fund to finance co-productions between their filmmakers. The fund will also support the restoration of classic African and South Asian films, preserving their cinematic heritage for future generations. Already, 2 feature films, one set in the rice paddies of Sylhet and another in the Sahel Desert, have entered pre-production as symbolic flagships of this collaboration. Cross-cultural festivals. Next year will see the first ever Ouagadougou Arts Festival, a traveling cultural celebration that will showcase Burkina music, dance, and crafts in Bangladesh, and Bangladeshi poetry, theater, and textiles in Burkina Faso. Plans are already underway for a massive street parade in both capitals, expected to draw hundreds of thousands of visitors. Education and preservation. The pact also includes the creation of scholarship programs for young artists, curators, and historians. Joint teams are being dispatched to rural villages to document endangered languages, oral histories, and traditional crafts, ensuring they're not lost to time. A global platform. Perhaps most ambitiously, both nations will collaborate to launch an online streaming platform dedicated to showcasing films, documentaries, and performances from the global south, a direct challenge to the cultural dominance of Hollywood and other Western media. At the signing ceremony in Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traore stood before a massive mural depicting the continent of Africa and declared, "They took our gold. They took our cotton. They even took our stories and told them back to us as if they were their own. No more. We tell our own stories now, and we tell them together." Sheikh Hasina, visibly moved, added, "Our cultures are not commodities. They are treasures. And today, we unlock them for the world to see." The announcement has been met with celebration across both countries. In Dhaka's streets, young dancers performed traditional Jatra theater to cheering crowds. In Bobo Dioulasso, griots sang epic poems to packed courtyards, praising the dawn of this new era. International reaction was, as expected, mixed. Western media conglomerates expressed concerns about fragmentation of global cultural markets, while cultural activists and scholars from across the developing world hailed the pact as a long overdue rebalancing of global narratives. On social media, the hashtag Our Stories Our Way began trending within hours, accompanied by clips of Burkina drummers and Bangladeshi folk singers performing side by side. One viral tweet from a young artist in Dhaka read, For too long, we were told to imitate. Now we create. And a Burkina poet posted simply, We have always been here. Now the world will see us. By focusing on culture, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh are sending another clear message to the world. Development is not just about economics and technology. It is also about dignity, identity, and the power of a people to tell their own story. As the two nations prepare for their first joint festival, one thing is clear. They are proving again and again that solidarity can break barriers, reclaim lost ground, and light the way for others to follow. And in doing so, they remind us all, the future isn't only about who builds the fastest machines or grows the biggest economy, it's also about who dares to sing the loudest, paint the brightest, and dream the boldest. The cultural renaissance has begun. In an astonishing turn of events, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have now entered the global stage in a way nobody anticipated by announcing the Defense Solidarity Initiative. That's right. After transforming trade, food, energy, technology, and culture, the two nations are now joining forces in the realm of defense and security and sending shockwaves through traditional military alliances worldwide. The seeds of this initiative were sown quietly over the past 2 years. Both countries had long faced insecurity, albeit in different forms. Burkina Faso has been battling violent extremism, terrorism, and cross-border criminal networks in the Sahel. Bangladesh has been grappling with maritime security concerns in the Bay of Bengal, border tensions, and the humanitarian challenges of hosting millions of refugees from Myanmar. Both governments felt the same frustration. They were forced to depend on costly imports of outdated military equipment, piecemeal training programs from foreign powers, and unreliable alliances with larger nations who often place their own strategic interests above the needs of their partners. So when Ibrahim Traore and Sheikh Hasina met privately on the sidelines of a regional summit earlier this year, they posed a daring question. Why not defend ourselves together? That question became the foundation of the Defense Solidarity Initiative, formally unveiled just this week at a joint ceremony in Dhaka. Here's what it entails. Joint training academies. Both nations will co-establish 2 defense academies, one in Ouagadougou, focused on counter-terrorism, desert warfare, and intelligence, and another in Chittagong, focused on naval operations, peacekeeping, and cyber defense. Officers and enlisted personnel from both armies, navies, and air forces will train side by side, learning from each other's unique experiences and building a shared doctrine. Arms production cooperation. Bangladesh's growing defense manufacturing sector, which already produces small arms, ammunition, and patrol boats, will expand its capacity to supply Burkina Faso at fair prices. In return, Burkina Faso will export critical raw materials, such as uranium and manganese, for use in advanced equipment and electronics. Joint peacekeeping units. Both countries already have proud traditions of contributing troops to United Nations peacekeeping missions. Now they've agreed to form combined units, Blue Helmets, who will deploy as joint contingents, showcasing their solidarity and efficiency on the world stage. Cybersecurity Alliance. Recognizing the rising threat of cyber warfare and espionage, both nations are pooling resources to create a joint cyber defense command tasked with protecting critical infrastructure, countering misinformation campaigns and training ethical hackers to safeguard their sovereignty in the digital realm. Asterisk at the launch event, Ibrahim Traore declared, asterisk, we are no longer content to be protected by others. We will protect ourselves. And in doing so, we protect each other. And Sheikh Hasina added, peace is our goal, but strength is our guarantee. Today, we stand not just as partners, but as brothers and sisters in arms. The international reaction has been immediate and intense. Western defense contractors have expressed concerns over losing lucrative markets. Asterisk regional powers, including India and France, have reportedly sought reassurances that the pact is defensive, not offensive. Asterisk, meanwhile, citizens in both countries celebrated in the streets, waving flags, chanting slogans of unity, and proudly sharing images of soldiers from Dhaka and Ouagadougou shaking hands in uniform. Asterisk on social media, the hashtag #StrongerTogether trended worldwide within hours. One viral post from a young Bangladeshi cadet read, not clients, not colonies, allies. And a Burkina Special Forces officer posted, we fight for our land. We fight for each other. We fight for our future. Asterisk, many analysts see this move as the dawn of a new kind of security paradigm, one in which developing nations collaborate directly to protect their own interests, rather than serving as pawns in the power games of larger states. Asterisk, of course, challenges lie ahead. Funding such ambitious projects won't be easy. Integrating forces with different languages, doctrines, and histories will take time. And powerful actors may try to undermine this initiative to maintain their own influence. Asterisk. But as the first graduating class of cadets from both nations marched together under a single flag at the ceremony, their determination was clear, and the message they sent to the world was unmistakable. We may be small alone, but together we are unbreakable. Asterisk with the launch of the Defense Solidarity Initiative, Burkina Faso and Bangladesh have once again rewritten the rules, proving that security, like dignity, cannot simply be given. It must be built. Asterisk, and they are building it side by side.